Hello and welcome to the October edition of Bridge to India's Policy and Regulatory Update on India's renewable power sector. We will look at orders issued by central as well as state government agencies. MNRE has approved bidding guidelines for wind-solar hybrid projects. MNRE has included a number of clauses to address some major challenges faced by developers through these guidelines. Financial closure is to be attained within 12 months of signing the PPA, while project is to be commissioned within 18 months of PPA execution or the final effective date. In case of transmission-related delays, scheduled commissioning date shall be extended by duration of the delay and an additional 60 days. If tariff is not approved by regulators within 60 days of submission of petition, financial closure deadline will be extended by a period corresponding to this delay. The guidelines also include a provision for automatic change in tariff within 30 days of a change in law event subject to regulatory approval. Developers will be required to maintain at least 30% annual CUF with either technology accounting for at least 33% of the contracted capacity. Developers will also have an option to submit letter of undertaking issued by PFC, REC or IREDA instead of a letter of credit or bank guarantee for EMD and performance guarantee. Delays and ambiguity related to tariff adoption and transmission infrastructure, both at central and state levels, have resulted in revenue loss for developers and even cancellation of projects. Clauses in these guidelines will provide clarity to all stakeholders and reduce regulatory challenges for developers. The guidelines, however, fail to address another regulatory hurdle in signing power sale agreement, that is, power trading margin charged by intermediary procurers. This issue has led to delay in PSA execution and tariff adoption in a number of states and union territories. Ministry of Power has issued draft rules regarding PPA tariff rates for DISCOMs, curtailment compensation and change in law tariff revision. Ministry of Power proposed that intermediary procurers shall sell power to DISCOMs at weighted average of bids received in a particular tender. It also proposed that if not specified in the PPA or PSA, developers shall be compensated at 75% of tariff for curtailment. Further, if solar and wind power developers receive a 24-hour notice for curtailment, they must sell power at power exchanges. Revenue from this sale shall form part of the compensation against curtailment. The ministry also proposed to simplify tariff revision process resulting from a change in law event through a formula-based revision implemented within 30 days of such an event. DISCOMs are already opposed to signing new PSAs of recently auctioned projects due to high tariffs and reduced demand. The move to switch tariff to weighted average of bids will push the prices even higher and increase resistance from DISCOMs. On the other hand, mandatory sale of curtailed power at power exchanges will be opposed by developers as it could result in high deviation penalties for them. Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission has proposed RPO targets for financial year 2022-23 and additional requirements for open access consumers. DERC proposed 21% RPO target for financial year 2022-23, split equally between solar and non-solar renewable power technologies. The Commission also proposed additional requirements for open access consumers with respect to fulfillment of RPO targets. Open access consumers would be required to project their annual consumption at the start of each financial year. They would be required to submit a bank guarantee to DISCOMs based on projected consumption and average of floor and forbearance price of RECs. Open access consumers would submit RPO compliance data to DISCOMs within 2 months of end of each financial year, following which bank guarantee would be returned. The bank guarantee will be encashed in case open access consumers fail to meet RPO targets. Open access consumers buying renewable power to fulfill RPO targets will enjoy exemption from transmission and wheeling charges, cross-subsidy and additional surcharges. The requirement to project consumption over a 12-month period and submit bank guarantee to DISCOMs is yet another attempt to burden open access consumers with additional regulatory compliances and charges. The Commission also failed to justify the requirement of open access consumers to submit bank guarantees to DISCOMs instead of State Renewable Energy Development Agency. Tamil Nadu Electricity Regulatory Commission has issued solar and wind power tariff orders and kept open access charges unchanged. TNERC passed new tariff orders for solar and wind power projects. The Commission continued with exemptions and kept banking arrangements unchanged from the previous orders. Open access solar power projects will enjoy 50% exemption on transmission, wheeling, scheduling, and system operation charges, and 30% exemption on cross-subsidy surcharge. Captive solar projects will enjoy 50% exemption on parallel operation charges. Banking will not be allowed and any excess power generated will be procured by the DISCOM at 75% of the tariff discovered in latest auction. Transmission, wheeling, scheduling and system operation charges will be applicable on wind power projects at 50% of the normal charges, while cross-subsidy surcharge shall be applicable at a discounted rate of 60%. Wind projects will be allowed to bank power on monthly basis at no additional charge. Any unbanked power will be procured by DISCOMs at 75% of tariff discovered in the latest auction. While the DISCOM understandably argued for no exemptions on open access charges, the Commission decided to maintain existing exemptions on the basis of submissions made by majority of stakeholders, which included project developers and industry associations representing them. Punjab State Electricity Regulatory Commission has adopted tariff for PM Kusum projects. PSCRC approved 2.75 rupees per kilowatt hour as tariff for power generated by grid connected ground mounted solar projects of 0.5 to 2 megawatt capacity. The Commission also approved 2.60 rupees per kilowatt hour as tariff for excess power generated from solar projects powering grid-connected irrigation pumps. Telangana State Electricity Regulatory Commission has issued draft tariff order for PM Kusum projects. TSCRC proposed a tariff of Rs 3.13 per kilowatt hour for power generated by grid-connected ground-mounted solar projects of 0.5 to 2 megawatt. These tariffs shall be applicable to DISCOMs that buy this power. Tariffs adopted and proposed by state regulators to PM Kusum projects are very low and are unlikely to attract mainstream solar power project developers. PM Kusum scheme could thus have a similar fate as a residential rooftop scheme, which is swamped by fly-by-night installers offering poor quality installations and inconsistent service. Punjab State Electricity Regulatory Commission has refused to hear tariff adoption petition for SECI Solar Wind Hybrid Project. PSCRC refused to entertain a tariff adoption petition filed by State DISCOM for 500 megawatt solar wind hybrid project. The project was awarded to Adani Green Energy by SECI in Pan India Solar Wind Hybrid Tranche 2 tender. Punjab DISCOM had earlier signed a PSA with SECI committing to pay 7 paisa per kilowatt hour as trading margin. However, the DISCOM asked the Commission to approve 2 paisa per kilowatt hour as the trading margin. The Commission refused to hear the petition citing this discrepancy and asked the DISCOM to finalize trading margin with SECI. Dispute over trading margin has emerged as a recurring issue of contention between intermediary procurers and DISCOMs. Punjab DISCOM is embroiled in another similar dispute with NTPC for 500 megawatt solar and wind power projects, where it had sought to reduce trading margin to 1 paisa per kilowatt hour. Different judgments by central and state regulators on the same issue result in lengthy and avoidable legal process, especially when the intermediary procurers clearly mention trading margins in RFS and draft PPAs. Those were the key policies and orders passed in October 2020. We hope you found this update useful. You can view all policy and regulatory information and much more in real time at India RE Navigator. Please share your comments and feedback at contact@bridge2india.com. We will be back early next month with a fresh update. Thanks.